This is Hannibal here with another Hulk Hogan podcast review. I really actually liked this podcast with Hulk Hogan. It was on the PBD podcast. They recently had The Rock on, and I didn't even make it through the whole Rock podcast. I'm a fan of The Rock, but I didn't find it that entertaining. Hulk Hogan was very good on this podcast. I'll go through the interesting parts about it. He does not want Ben Affleck and Matt Damon this movie about him, which is supposed to be about the whole Gawker situation, Hulk Hogan, that led to him being ousted for a while. He said if they do that, they're going to fall under the same demise as Gawker. All that is old news anyways. And he said they would be in a position legally if they decide to do a story, a movie based on his life without his permission. He also said they're going to do a documentary on him, and he didn't say which. Could be WWE. He said he's not under a Legends contract. He said he's under a special contract with WWE that he's been under for a year and a half now. And it's a 5-year deal. And it's going to involve documentary movies and some type of movie similar to the one that they just did with Vince McMahon. So who knows if that will be another Netflix movie or not. He did say something interesting that WWE is such a machine now they can take a guy that looks like a bad boy in a grocery store and make him a star. That is true. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are prime examples of that. He talked about how like wrestlers used to have to be monsters and larger than life characters, and now the bag boy at the grocery store can be a star. So I guess it's just a machine. He has a massive art collection, he says. He says he's never voted other than for Trump. He talked a lot in this about his relationship with Donald Trump. He claimed the opening match in his towns in the 80s, you would have $3,000, which would be considered the A show. And if you were on the B and C shows in WWE in the 80s, you'd be getting like $500. And he made sure to say that the B show would be a Warrior and the C show would be tag team champions. Can you imagine in the 80s, wrestling was so popular per cap? I mean, they have so many revenue sources now that you really can't compare it because the revenue sources now compared to the 80s just didn't exist. There was 3 freaking shows a night, practically 7 days, and they were getting very good crowds. Now there's two shows a week usually, maybe 3 or 4 if they're traveling in another country total. It's just crazy. And the wrestling shirt, say what you want, you never see wrestling shirts around anymore other than at wrestling events. The only ones I actually see around still, honestly, NWO. For some reason, people still wear the NWO shirt. The two, he didn't seem to exaggerate as much in these. By the way, I will say this. I haven't found anything interesting in wrestling enough to watch lately. I've watched highlights of Raw and so forth, and I've glanced at wrestling in the gym. To me, it's like really boring these days. I watched this whole interview and I found it entertaining. So when I say I think I lied about at least 2 things in this interview, which isn't bad for a Hogan interview. One was he said Cher sent Mo to pick him up, but he was with his wife. So he had to say no because it was rude. And he said he turned down going to a party with Madonna in New York City that was the same night as one of his matches at Madison Square Garden. I have no doubt he was probably invited to a Madonna party at one point in the 80s. He was but whether this CD opening party was the exact same night as the show at Madison Square Garden, who knows? The Cher story, who knows? But you know what? One story that does sound, but I will believe it. I found this to be the most interesting part of this interview was he said he was there when his dad died, and I know he's a great storyteller, but I do believe this. He said when his dad died, he was with his dad, and he felt the spirit go through the body when the dad passed away. He is a great worker and actor, but I do feel that he was talking the truth there, and I found that story interesting. So yeah, there we go. Yes, AQ, I'm back again. I have to say about Jacob Fatu. I do like Jacob Fatu. Interviewed him. They had him do a job to Cody Rhodes clean on Monday, and it's like we're in the era of if someone does a job, you're not going to hear about it, see it. I mean, I've seen it all over social media, and it has the Raw background and everything. So I just feel like really need to put that as a dark match when I don't know. I felt like they should be building him more before he's jobbing. As I said, okay, fine, it wasn't on Raw, but it's all over social media and all the news sites reported on it. So I just feel that like they gave something away there that they shouldn't have. ATF media heard Hogan is bald because Ronnie Garvin hates Republicans. Punched the hair off of his head. I don't know. By the way, I do think Fatu is better than Solo. 80s was the era, in my opinion, too. Hogan was simply just, sorry, I had a cold here, greatest WWE star. I agree. We got a P. Diddy fan. I don't know much about it, but there's a hell of a lot of our stuff with that. Yes, Hulk Hogan is more popular. I would say The Rock could probably move more tickets than Hulk Hogan. The Rock in any city sell out because he's such a star. He could come to Ottawa here and it would sell out if they actually advertised it. They started not doing the big backgrounds on Raw and SmackDown when Rock was doing appearances earlier this year, and he really added a shot of electricity into wrestling. But Hulk Hogan, I mean, he's definitely. I watched the entertaining, and he's a great draw. But I mean, at this point in his career, he's not wrestling anymore, so he's not going to do as much as The Rock. But he's very popular, and he's AEW. They don't really have. I mean, Chris Jericho's mainstream. MJ will probably get there. He's doing a lot of movies lately, and young, but they don't really have that many wrestlers that are like household names, which might be one of their problems. Someone says Jey Uso lost the title back to. You know what? Why even have Braun lose the title in the first place? I don't want to get off topic here. Braun should have come in with the Goldberg push. And this is why I don't watch wrestling. I just don't like it. Mike, I don't know if you're serious joke there. He never talked about his stance on that. Recent interview with The Undertaker. He doesn't like transgender competing with females. I would like to see the Damon and Affleck movie on Hogan, to be perfectly honest. I would really like to see whether it's going to happen or not. He's definitely going to fight against it, which honestly, him fighting against it in this makes me want to see it happen more. And I know Hulk Hogan does not like me. At one point, he talked to me and was on speaking terms with me, but I've heard he does not like me. Maybe that will change in the future. Someone says they want to sum up all he's done in a small life. I don't know what the synopsis is of it. But that is a very interesting. That whole thing is very interesting. Very interesting. Most people don't know what the hell a phone app is. A lot of people don't. A lot of people really don't. And personally, I hate phone apps. They cause a lot of time wasting, and you never know what the hell those are recording on you. Someone met Hulk Hogan and Mr. T 20 years ago. Mr. T is someone I'd really like to interview. Headbanger Thrasher, maybe some days. Anyways, guys, that's an interview worth checking out. I enjoyed it. And I do hope that Damon and Affleck, I wonder which one of them, I think it's Damon that's going to try and play Hulk Hogan. I don't know. Could be, can't be any worse. I'll just say one more thing. Von Erich's movie, I fell asleep when I went to see it in the movie theater. Okay. I ordered it on YouTube Movies after. And I despised it. And I gave it another chance. It was on in the airplane on my way to Hawaii. And just the guy that they have playing Harley, his accent so far off, it just annoys the hell out of me. My issues with it, that they cut out Chris Von Erich, it's an issue. I just really didn't like the movie. So I know that has nothing to do with Hulk Hogan, but I would say Von Erich Iron Claw movie, I just didn't like at all how it was put together. Could be a lot better. But I will give the Hulk Hogan interview a thumbs up, and I do like the Von Erichs. That's probably partly why I'm upset over that movie. And the casting of Kerry Von Erich, this skinny little dweeby looking guy. That's nothing like Kerry. Kerry like reeked of the superstar look.